Hello everyone, my name is Vaibhav from Aussizz Group. Today we are live for the next another panel session from the experts around our branches from Australia. So first of all, we would like to apologize for the delay in coming live due to a technical problem. But I hope we'll catch up with that as we go ahead with the session. So without delaying any further, we would like to discuss today about the what to expect in this new financial year, because a lot of people are uncertain about what to do, what's going to happen. A lot of people are under the impression that they believe that the immigration has stopped, or let's say Department of Home Affairs has stopped the permanent visa applications. Actually, those are rumors or misunderstandings, I would say. So we have our panelists from different states. So we have Vishali from Adelaide, who is a registered migration agent in Adelaide. We have Malay from Brisbane, who is also a registered migration agent. And we have Tejas, who is also from Adelaide and a registered migration agent, who is actually a guest appearance today. He will be giving his insights about an expert opinion on the immigration part when it comes to his part. And Preeti from Perth, who has been also an excellent migration agent in our Perth branch. And lastly, Kunal Verma from Melbourne, who will be talking about the Section 48 and the planning levels and allocations for this financial year. So without wasting any time, we will go to first, we'll go to uh, Vishali. So Vishali, over to you. The question for you is, how will the 2019 and 2019-20 program, migration program will remain in place, and what are the announcement looks like?
Okay. Now, following the peak period for COVID-19, during this economic recovery period, migration is going to be a key component of Australia's planning levels. When they are planning to rearrange the program, this program is going to be driven by economic growth, and then they are going to provide support for job creation to existing international local clients, local residents. Now, the planning level will be depending on future skill needs or changes in the labor market and different objectives of these states and territories. The department has definitely announced that the rounds will continue, but otherwise advise the existing 2019 and 20 migration program settings will remain in place. So until advised further, whatever quota was there for 1920 migration program will be the same, and this means the 2021 planning ceiling will be retained at 1,60,000 places, which was the same in the last financial year. This includes, I'll just quickly brief different categories under this ceiling. So there are skill stream visas, there are family stream visas, there are child visas, and then there are special eligibility stream visas, which consist of different visas not covered under these sections, like resident return visas or different visas granted under ministerial intervention. Now the places for skill stream are going to be 1,08,682, which is the highest at the moment. Places for family stream are allotted to be 47,732. 1 lakh and 47, there is a huge difference. Special eligibility stream, like the visas not covered under GSM, partner, etc., are going to be 236, which is still a very small number. The places granted for child visas is still considerable, which is 3,350, 3,350. Precisely, this is going to be the same places that had been allocated for 2019 and 20. Unless otherwise, the department will be reviewing their future skill needs and existing labor support, labor provision, and then they will be adjusting those planning levels. We may expect some further announcement by October 2020. Now, because their focus is immediate health and economic impacts of COVID-19, there will be certain occupations which will be focused. So which the skills which are in critical need will be prioritized. They will continue with 189 independent rounds and the state nomination rounds, but of course, the skills which are critical may be given a priority. Otherwise, I think as long as the the planning level is concerned, we should be expecting something from or latest or by October 2020. Until then, the same quota continues, and state will be running their own programs as well. Whenever the department plans to change any ceiling level or the quota, they will be consulting the authorities, state nomination or the participating entities as well. So it depends on the needs of states and territories as well. So yeah, third parties will be consulted. Until then, the same things will continue. There will be different visa options available.
Okay, thank you very much, Vishali. And not to mention that 858 visa, which is the global talent visa, or let's say distinguished talent visa, has a separate ceiling allocation that has been given since November 2019, which is close to 5,000. And we can see that the ceiling of that planning level is also not met or is not fulfilling. So I guess the department has only received close to 1,000 applications so far, or let's say including the ones that has been granted. But we have seen that there are people who are getting the visas now, so we have seen a bit of improvement there as well. And not to forget that, as Vishali mentioned, that a lot of state nominations authorities have already started putting the applications on hold for the applicants who are already in the process or who have already lodged an application before July 2020. So definitely there will be a good sign that the migration program will continue as per the 160K allocations. But I guess probably our guest speaker Tejas will be able to put more lights on it. Tejas, we also have seen recently that the Prime Minister Scott Morrison has also had a live session, I guess yesterday sometime or today morning, and they had mentioned about something about cutting down to up to 30%. What do you think on that one?
No, it's not about cutting down on the migration, but what they're expecting, Vaibhav, is basically because they will be restricting the people coming to Australia because of this COVID-19. The applications from offshore will reduce approximately at least 30%. And that means the overall migration program will reduce from the allocated 160 ceiling. Now, there are a lot of rumors, a lot of news out there when it will be starting, what to expect and stuff as well. So as far as I know, I think on 23rd of July, Treasurer is going to make an announcement in the Parliament regarding the economical vision for 2020-2021. And that's what we should have some bit of clear picture what they will be expecting to deliver in terms of the migration. And obviously, because of the delays in the budget, a lot of migration agents have predicted, including some of the state nomination authorities as well, that there could be delays in terms of allocation of the state migration programs as well, 190, 491 or 188. But as far as South Australia is concerned, I guess South Australia has informed us that all the migration agents, obviously, that they are expecting to restart the migration program approximate first week of August. So if we go with that news of 23rd of July, the Parliament session, then we can expect that some news might come along after that. And because there will be less number of people applying from offshore, obviously the applicants who are already in Australia working in their field should get benefit in terms of the overall migration planning for 2020 to 2021.
That's correct, Tejas. So thank you very much for putting up good words about it. And it's a very positive outcome, or let's say very positive answer from your end, that looking at that onshore applicants will have added advantage because the migration from offshore is not really possible at the moment. And I guess a lot of states have also mentioned about 23rd July, that is the time when they will probably have their decisions whether they will be able to start their allocations from that day onwards, or they will still have to wait for the new program. Now, moving forward with our discussion, like obviously in this uncertain time, while a lot of candidates are not able to get their invitations for one or the other reasons, now looking at the alternative option is very important. And if your agent is aware about, or let's say any agent is aware about an alternative option, is the right person for the applicants to consult, right? So we're based on that, we are moving to the next topic now, which is discussing about what sort of alternative options to look for, which we will be covered by Malay from Brisbane. So Malay, if you can, so the question to you is, what are the other options that applicants can look at while they're still waiting for, let's say, their skill visa or to be granted, or let's say for their invitations or state nomination to open up, what are the alternative options that they should look at?
Sure, Vaibhav. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. This is Malay here. I am a registered migration agent at Brisbane office. So, regarding the alternative options, currently they have stopped the general skill migration visa due to the certain time period. So, they may open in couple of months. So, you don't need to worry about it. Definitely, they are going to open the program in month of October, or they can start earlier as well, as they just said before. So, if you are looking for the alternative option, if you are holder of 485 visa or full-time working rights, if you are holding, you may have to go about some alternative options like you can go for the training visas or maybe the employer sponsor visa depending on your own background and circumstances. So if you have at least 2 years of experience, we recommend to go for the temporary skill shortage visa, which is 482 visa, where you require to have a 2 years of experience after your studies, which is post-study experience. And if you have an employer who can sponsor you for the nominated position, you can go for the 482 visa. Otherwise, let's suppose if you have like less than 2 years of experience, so most of the students, they are on 485 visa and they have almost like a 12 months of experience, or maybe it's going to complete within next 2 months, like the 12 months of experience. So they can go for the 407 visa, or if they don't have any experience, there is a good chance they can go for 407 visa if they have completed their 12 months of study in last 24 months. So this point they have to consider while going for the 407 visa, even if they don't have an experience, but if they have a study in last 12 months, in 24 months for the 12 months of study, they still have an option. If the employer is happy to give them the training visa option, they can work full time and later on they can apply for the skilled migration visa once the program will be open. So if we are going for the moving forward for the students who are having the experience in the retail industry or maybe hospitality industry, and they got a refusal previously with the 187 visa or maybe 186 visa or 457 visa, and they're working full time like the maybe in the fast food shop or retail businesses, they have an option in regional area. If they have a 3 years of experience, they can go for the 494 visa, which is the regional nomination stream. Like previously, it used to be 187 visa, but now they have changed with the new subclass 494 visa, where the applicant requires you to have a 3 years of experience and a positive skill assessment. Once you have the employer who can sponsor you with that particular position. So let's suppose if you're working in the convenience store, if you are working in particularly like the fast food chain restaurants or any other retail industry, you are eligible to apply for 494 visa. So check with your eligibility to one of our agent in any of the office in Australia wide. So they may help you for the particular 494 visa, which is just recently introduced in last year November. And if you have like 3 years of experience, and if you have a sponsor in the city area like Brisbane, like anywhere in Australia, like they can go for the direct entry for the 186 as well. Like there is an employer nomination scheme, 186 visa, where you have to have like the 3 years of experience and skill assessment with 6 each in English. You can go with directly 186 visa. But for all this visa, like if we talk about 407, 186, or 482 or 494, you need to have an employer who can sponsor you for the particular nomination in the nominated position which you are working for. So if we look about from the employer sponsor visa, there are certain other options. You can go for the partners visa. So if you have an Australian permanent resident citizen or citizen partner, and if you are in a relationship with them, you can eligible to apply for the partner visa as an alternative of the skilled migration visa option. So many people are waiting for the skilled migration visa while they're having a partner, Australian partner as well. So they are not getting the currently skill nomination visa. So they can go for the partner visa. In case if you are not married together, you can apply as a de facto as well. If you're living together or if you are in relationship with someone, there is an option for the de facto partner visa as well. And if they want to apply for onshore partner visa, there is a visa called subclass 820, where they can apply visa here and they get the bridging visa and they can continue their stay in Australia until the visa grant. So that's another good option if you are eligible for, if you have a partner who is Australian citizen or resident, you can go for the partner visa. Another visa, if we discuss regarding if you have done the PhD, or if you're doing the research degree or PhD study, you can go for the global talents. There is a visa called Distinguished Talent Visa, subclass 858, which is like recently introduced. Vaibhav even explained about a little bit about the global talent visa. They have almost 5,000 ceiling for a year. So some of the applicants, they have completed their PhD or they are doing the PhD while currently the skilled migration program is closed. So they may not eligible to apply for 190, 189 or 491 visa. They can choose this particular pathway, 858 Global Talent Visa, where they are working under the if they're doing the research under that particular field. There are 7 different fields they have for the Global Talent Visa. If they're doing the research or if they have like specific achievement in that particular field, they can go for that visa. It is easy to get it at the moment if you have done research degree, or else if you are earning or if you are about to earn like 148 grand a year annual, you can eligible to apply for 858 visa. So this is the very good option. So check with one of our migration agent from any of the office in Australia. They may guide you about the certain visas, about the distinguished talent visa. And the last option, I can say like the 189 is definitely is there, but they are going to give priority to the health or maybe medical occupations only at the moment. Like tonight, there is an invitation round for the 189 visa. So we may have to wait like how they are going to invite for the health worker, or they may invite for some other additional occupations as well. So we will get to know about this thing by tonight. As the 11th of July, there is an invitation round for 189 and 491 family stream. And the last visa, if we have to discuss about the alternative option, I recommend 408 visa as well. Like we did recently for few clients whose visa is about to expire, like they are on 485 visa, and their visa, like they have like enough point, they're just waiting for the migrants 190 or 491 visa, and the visa is about to finish in next 1 month or so. So for that, if you're working in essential worker, like if you're an essential worker, or if you're working in essential field like the agriculture, aged care, or maybe the health professional, you may go for the 408 visa just for the temporary. You may get full-time work rights straight after you lodge a visa. As soon as you will be eligible for another skilled migration visa, by the time you will be eligible and you can apply for the state nomination or maybe 189 visa as well in the future. But that visa will just give you the full-time working rights, and it visa is about like next 12 months. But if you're not working in essential, if you apply for the 408 visa, you won't get the full-time work right. So that you have to take care about like the main thing. If you're not an essential worker, you will not get a full-time work rights, and you will just get 6 months of visa where you cannot allow to work in Australia. So that is you have to keep in mind while applying for that visa. So these are the alternative option, Vaibhav. We can like if they have like if you guys have any doubts about the any other visa, you can either leave us a comment. We will maybe definitely we will answer your comments.
All right. Thank you very much, Malay, and it's a very detailed analysis of what alternative options applicant should look at. And guys, Malay is an excellent attorney. You know, he's a very good person who can a migration agent who can guide you through. If you're in Brisbane, definitely Malay is the right agent to probably have your file with, because he knows in and out of these visas and options. So definitely understanding each option available to candidate is very important, because sometimes if you have an option, but we have come across many clients that they have an option but they don't even know. So obviously you have missed looking at alternative options, and definitely looking into alternative options is really a right time actually, and the time is also asking that you look at the alternative options as it not even as a primary process or primary plan, but at least your plan B should be look at the alternative options if your plan A doesn't work of getting the skill visas. Right now, to summarize what Malay has said, so if you're not able to get an invitation for 189 or 190 or 491, the alternative options are 482, where people who are working already in their field, and if their employers are happy to sponsor them because they do not want to lose and obviously valuable skilled employee, then they can also look into the employer sponsorship visas. If you're already working in regional area, or you're working in let's say metropolitan area, but you do have a prospective employer who wants to sponsor you in regional area, then you can also look at the 494 visa. Partner visa, we have come across a lot of people who have a partner who is an Australian citizen, but they do not want to go for a partner visa because they want to get their permanent visa on their own skills. So we do recommend that, if your current visa is about to expire, you can apply for a partner visa. And at the same time, you can keep looking for or keep waiting for an invitation for a skill visa. And if you do get an invitation for a skill visa, you can always apply for a skill visa and withdraw your partner visa later on if that's something that you are comfortable with. 858 visa. So as Malay, my colleague, has explained, that you have an option of 858 visa if you are a PhD graduate in, let's say, financial technology, IT, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, energy, and medical technology. So if you fall in any of these industries, and either you have a PhD degree and you are able to show that you have a potential to earn 148,700 per annum, or you're already working in this industry, any of this industry, and you don't have a PhD degree, you can still apply as long as you can prove that you are an excellent person in your field and you have an achievement in your field of expertise, and you have a nominator who wants to nominate you, and you're able to earn 148,700. The last option is 408. The only thing that to look after look at the 408 option is that if you're not under the healthcare system, so if you're not under the critical care, you do not get the full-time work rights, or you do not get the work rights at all, basically. But you can still stay here. Let's say a person on 485 visa, not in the critical care, but wants to stay because they cannot go back. They can apply for a 408, but do not get the work rights if you're not falling under the critical care sector. And tonight's invitation round definitely will tell us what's going to happen next, what to expect in the next few upcoming months until October. And we believe that by October, it's just a delay because of, obviously, the government was quite busy in looking at the COVID-19 situation and handling the other part of it. Definitely, they were not able to focus and complete their planning before July. And therefore, the planning level has actually been delayed, and most likely it will be announced by 4th of October, to be precise. At least not, if not before then, at least 4th of October is the last date I think we'll have an updates on. And then most of the states will start inviting, which is just, obviously it's not going to impact the program. It's just that it's 3 months or 4 months. This 3 to 4 months time, you will have an uncertainty and you won't know what's going to happen, because once the program starts, we'll see what's the cutoff and what are the new state nomination criteria, because most of the states has also mentioned that they will be revisiting their criteria as well for a state nomination. But really good insight from Malay. Thank you very much, Malay, for that. And before we move to the next topic, I would like to go to our guest speaker again. So Tejas, a small query from my end, actually. I'm a bit curious about the new announcement, because I've been, the announcement was just done yesterday, but I've got calls as well from many people that the government is announcing the 5 years visa for onshore people. But I am obviously aware that it's just for the residents of Hong Kong who wish to come to Australia. And as UK has also opened up the door and offered Hong Kong citizens to come down to UK, Australian government has also welcomed them because of the political unrest there. So Tejas, would you have anything to add on that one?
So there are 3 things I would like to cover up. Number is obviously in yesterday's announcement, the Minister Alan Tudge mentioned that they might be revisiting the occupations for the employer-sponsored visas. So we might expect a significant number of occupations might go from the list for 482 visas. So there could be announcement in that area anytime soon from the department in the next couple of weeks, as per his comments in yesterday's press conference. The second thing is obviously the state sponsorship. As you mentioned, obviously the budget will be announced in month of October. But as I mentioned, we can expect something in next couple of weeks when the treasurer himself will be speaking in the parliament, and it could contain some of the information about the economical vision for 2020 to 2021. And that includes the number of ceiling values over the program years for migration, and that can restart the state migration programs in maybe August. So there is a bit of mixed news. It could be August or it could be October, latest by October. Number 3, regarding the Prime Minister's announcement for Hong Kong, that was mainly targeted to the people who are already in Australia, who are either on student visas or on a temporary skill migrant, like the TSS visas or any of the visas. So obviously they're giving them the option to renew their visas for another 5 years. And there is an option for them to apply for the permanent residency after 5 years if they are on a graduate visa or TSS 482 or any other visas. So it's good news for the Hong Kong nationals, but obviously it's very small number of people who are already in Australia. How they will bring them from offshore if they have an Australian visa and they're still stuck overseas. The government is still working on it, because the priority for the Australian government is obviously who are Australian citizen and the permanent resident. They're still looking how to bring back the Aussies who are stuck overseas and want to come back home. So that's their priority, and then eventually they will roll out if they are bringing anything else. Another thing I think we got through in the MIA's newsletter this morning is the planning to bring back 350 international students in Canberra. They have actually postponed that plan. So that just shows that obviously a priority should be, and it would be, is the Australian citizen or permanent residents for now until this COVID-19 situation gets better.
Right. Thank you very much, Tejas, for a very insightful information. And it's always good to have a guest speaker like Tejas, with so much updated knowledge. And even, let's say, I'm throwing questions from anywhere, and he's got the detailed information on each and every topic. So really, really good to have Tejas as a guest speaker today. Now, Tejas, obviously, yes, while migration is integral part of our economy, at the same time, the government is also obviously looking to make sure that we do not hinder the employment chances of Australian citizens, because a lot of people have lost a job. So both are equally important at the moment, making sure that the health and economic situation of Australian local people remains as it is, as well as we want to make sure that the economy is not affected because of the reduced migration program. So definitely there will be a balance for sure. So the students who are actually worried about what's going to happen, we would like to again give you an assurance that obviously the migration program is going to commence. It's a bit delayed, and there will not be a too much cutoff from the migration program. So that's something that you don't have to worry about. But yes, as we mentioned, that you should look at the alternative options if you can make up one, right? Now, please do not misunderstand the visa 5 years visa program. That is only for Hong Kong nationals, not any other nationals, because we had started getting queries today that am I eligible for this option, and we had to just check their nationality, and if they do not have a Hong Kong passport, obviously you're not eligible, right? So now moving to the next topic, we will be going to Kunal Verma from Melbourne. So Kunal, we've got few queries and a lot of people coming in as well and asking about the announcement in 2020-21 program, migration program, and what are the likely chances of the migration planning and allocations, as well as people who are already on, let's say, in their visa has been refused and they're in AAT, and they've got an invite or they're expecting an invitation due to Section 48 bar. A lot of people are like, can I get an exemption of the Section 48? So what do you have to say on this one, Kunal?
Sure. Thanks, Vaibhav. So hi, everyone. My name is Kunal, and I'm a migration agent I'm based in Melbourne. I work for Aussizz as well. In case of, the migration program for the coming year, definitely it is, I would say it's much relieved now that the government has given an indication they would continue to at least have seats, according to the previous year migration program, so that it should not really stop the flow of, the invitation rounds, or even in that case, if the budget would eventually happen in October, this should not really leave anything uncertain for applicants who have been working so hard in order to, get their invitations. So they've cleared the fact that, the New Year program would definitely have inclusions of seats. It might be lesser, and very well said by Tejas. Definitely, it's not that the seats are going to be reduced as such, but then definitely with not having many overseas applicants due to COVID-19, it definitely they would look into that fact and accordingly come up with the number of seats for this year. But I would see the onshore applicants who are already working towards their requirements. They definitely have a chance of getting invitations. They would see that the invitations are still coming up. Preferences are given to the medical occupations, keeping in mind the current situation. So I believe the new program would definitely have the options available in terms of 189, 190, and 491 in all aspects. As far as the number of the allocation towards states is concerned, it's all going to be decided later. As I mean, there have been no clarification on how many seats would be given up to the 491, or how many seats would be given to 190. But they have still said that 2019 allocation of 108,000 would still continue as it is until the migration program would come in place. And I was also reading through the state nomination options, because a lot of our clients are really focusing towards the 190 options as well as the 491. So the MI, the information we got from MI clearly states that that the state and state nomination and regional nomination pathway is very important for the migration program. So they would definitely ensure that the equal emphasis is being given in this year as well in inviting people from first by means of state nomination or regional nomination. And everyone who has been working across different states, as far as the requirements are out for the state nomination, they should be able to apply for that. So I would rather say hold tight at this moment. Tonight we would have clarity on a lot of things with the invitation round. But hopefully, as everyone has already mentioned, that August or most likely October, we would have a situation getting back a lot to normal, because I believe COVID is also would be on the terms of going away. We are keeping fingers crossed. I'm sure everybody is hoping for that, with other states playing pretty well with the situation. I am sitting in Victoria, so I know her situation is here. But I believe, in other states, we have still been able to contain it very well. And we are hoping Victoria would get out of it sooner as well. Yeah, so that's for the migration program for 2021. With the S48, so I would firstly like to advise our clients what exactly is Section 48 bar, and how does it really impact the people who have applied. I believe a lot of people who are onshore, they are aware of this Section 48. So if anyone who is in Australia on a substantive visa, and they had a refusal or a cancellation of a visa, and they are currently either unlawful or they are on some bridging visa. So with a refusal or a cancellation of a visa, you get barred by Section 48. Now, what does it mean is that if you are barred by Section 48, if you are willing to make an application of a substantive visa onshore, you will not be able to make that application. So if you are looking to make an application of a visa while you are onshore in Australia, you either have to go outside, obviously exit the borders, and then only you would be eligible to make an application. Now, there are certain exceptions to that. So firstly, I would talk about the exceptional exceptions, because a lot of people are not aware of exceptions, what they can really look into. So pretty much the exceptions are the 444 visa is an exception. But the 444 visa is only applicable for people who are Australian, the New Zealand citizens. So they are the ones who can apply for 444, even if they had a visa refusal onshore, they can still apply for that. Then they can apply for partner visa. Partner visa is also one of the options available for people who have an Australian permanent resident or citizens. Now, with partner visas, I would like to differentiate. We are not talking here about the subsequent entrant visas on the student visas or on 485 visas. Partner visas, when I say it is, I'm talking about the people who have a partner here who is an Australian permanent resident or a citizen. So if you have a partner here, and if you have a visa refusal, provided that you meet the criteria, wherein you can prove that you have compelling reasons in order to apply onshore, you can definitely make a partner visa application onshore as well. Then you've got option for protection visa.
Sorry to stop you there, but do you think the COVID-19 situation and travel restrictions could be a reason, or let's say to justify a compelling reason for Schedule 3 criteria for a partner visa?
Well, certainly can. Vaibhav, I think that you brought a very good point here. As such, in the current scenario, wherein there are borders of certain countries which have been closed, there are no flights traveling, only chartered flights, which are also getting delayed every time. So definitely, it is one of the reasons applicants can provide, if they are willing to make an application and provide it as a compelling reason that they are not able to travel overseas. And there are already, you know, a lot of compelling other reasons as well. But yes, you can use this one of the reasons as unable to travel due to COVID, and you're making an application onshore, consider including that as an option. Again, as I said, this is one of the options which would have to be at the discretion of the case officer, who has to look into the case whether they consider your justification to be enough compelling for you to be given an option to apply for the visa. But again, this is a global pandemic. You know, every obviously this situation is not been arised by an applicant. Definitely it is impacting overall everyone. So I am of the opinion, yes, this is going to be considered, this may be considered as one of the options.
Sure, we'll take the opinion from other people as well when we get there.
Yes. So as I said, protection visa again is another option. If you are really having, if you really meet the requirements of the protection visa, that's one of the options visas you can apply for while you are onshore, and if you have a visa refusal. Bridging visas, particularly bridging visas is an option you can also apply for. And most of you are on a bridging visa while you are here, when you've got a visa refusal or cancellation, so you can apply for the visas. Child visa is another option if you are willing to apply for that one of the visas. Medical treatment visas, if you have a medical condition and if you are willing to apply for that. So these are certain exclusions which have been given for applicants who are section 48 barred, and it's despite of the fact that they cannot make applications for the skilled visas. These are the few visas which I have mentioned they can apply for while they are onshore, and even if they are section 48 barred. Now, the states have come up, or they have actually, they have given options for applicants who have been barred by Section 48, despite of the fact that they have received invitations and they are not able to travel. So I believe every state has acted, individually in terms of giving away the options to the applicants in terms of their nomination approval. While, say, for that matter, Victoria has, advised the clients that if they have given an invitation, they will not be able to reissue another invitation. An applicant would have to reapply, or else at the time of making an application, an applicant would have to inform them so that they can withhold giving the invitation until the time, when the things are clear in terms of travel. New South Wales have cleared the fact that they would want to they would re-invite an applicant to whom they have already re-invited. So every state has come up with different. They've given different opinions in terms of how will they handle the situation of Section 48 bar applicants. And again, if I would entirely let the applicants to consider their circumstances in this case, because now I have had a few clients who have already had Section 48 bar. They have got invitation from Victoria State and they decided not to apply for the visa or not to leave the country. Now, eventually, for them to get an invitation over again is completely, it's completely dependent on how the new migration program would be. If the state nomination would come up with some reduced occupations, or what would happen. So, in case if my opinion is concerned, I would recommend my people, if you are willing to move overseas, or if you are willing to travel, it is good that you should travel now and then apply for your visa, because the new year migration program, definitely we are anticipating this to start well, but then you will definitely not have exact dates in front of you at the moment. And what points would the new invitation would come at, if it's for 189, if it's for 190, or what sort of requirements would really get changed is something which is not yet known. So in that sense, if you considering that if you already have an invitation with you and you haven't still traveled, in my opinion, it is worth giving it another thought, and then you can travel to apply for the visa. Definitely situation if for overseas travelers, Tejas mentioned, also Weber mentioned about it, that people would at this stage only permanent residents, citizens are being allowed to travel. But in coming future, definitely they are considering getting back the students as well, which has been again postponed from now, because the pilot was supposed to happen in this month, getting students to Canberra. But they are willing to get people back. The intention is very clear that the country, the Prime Minister, the Immigration Minister, they are all supporting the fact that they want to bring people onshore. But they will do that in phases only, just to make sure that this the transmission which is happening for COVID should not really spread at at any faster pace. And then how well the states have been able to contain the COVID, they should be able to continue that. So yes, Section 48 bar applicants can consider the option of going overseas and making an application. This is what my opinion would be.
Okay, Thank you very much, Kunal. So, and I'm aware that Kunal is from Melbourne right now, and in Victoria, we definitely wish you good luck, guys, there in Victoria. Basically, people in Victoria, please stay safe. We have seen our friends and family getting affected by COVID as well. So, but while the COVID-19 is affecting the in-person, person-to-person communication, however, Kunal is available online on Zoom and Google Meet, I guess, for any consultations that you need. If you want to understand anything, if you're in Victoria, definitely, you shall call our office, and you should be able to book an appointment with Kunal on a Zoom meeting, or could be, let's say, on as I said, Google Meet. So Kunal, thank you very much for providing such a detailed information. So I think all of our positive attitude actually helps the students or international people relax a little bit, because I guess I've seen a very unrest in their mind, that they're getting panicked every day. They're getting worried, and they really want to know what's going to happen, what's likely to happen. Obviously, while we cannot tell them exactly what's going to happen, we can show them that what are the likely chances that can happen, in a positive way, which is, I think one of our team has done it wonderful so far. And now we'll move forward to the next part. We will go to one of our best migration agents from Perth, Priti Puri. So Priti, I know that there are a lot of things coming up, and let us know if we have missed anything. You can cover up, but the question to you is, are there any other expected changes in new financial year? Let's say could be about the state nomination programs, could be anything else.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. And hello, everybody. I'm Preeti. I'm the migration agent from Perth. And I'll be talking about any of the changes which can come in new fiscal year, which is going to be announced by October. As it has been said by all of our learned migration agents that until October, the quota for the migration is going to remain the same, whatever it was for 2019. 2018-19 financial year, so that still remains the same. However, for the new one, we have been talking about the reduced migration plan with the 30% of it, which apparently does not mean that out of those allocations of 160,000 seats which has been allocated, they are also considering that there are so many people who have been stuck offshore and have not been able to come back into Australia at this point of time. Those kind of visas, or otherwise the number of applicants who were applying into the last financial year from an offshore applications, that will also be on hold for quite a while until the restrictions or the borders are being opened. So in overall, even if they cut up with these 30% of the migration, or the intake of the migration would be 30% less, it would still overall migration plan for the people who are coming here or can come and join and have those visas remained basically the same. They have been also been talking about the changes in the list, which as per the demand of what the current situation is, what the country needs, what is the economic circumstances, and what are the need of an occupations at this point of time. We could definitely see there are the few occupations which will be shuffling from the short-term list to the long-term list, or probably vice versa to those ones. So if you are thinking of making any application and before the list changes, and hopefully I see that 189, 190 and the 491s would be open. So try to take the advantages of those ones and do not wait for the new migration list to come up, which we probably see would be in October somewhere. And on top of that, the employer-sponsored visas, I would say in the next fiscal year would be the one which will be hardest hit by the migration industry. Because in these economic scenarios, they are talking about that the Australian first, they have to see the labor market testing and the market salaries for all of those ones. These TSS lists, they have already, last night when they were making those announcements, they were talking about there have been a huge reduction on those lists, or there have been many of these occupations which have been come out, or few occupations may come back into the list, which could be the health related ones and all. So this is again, we will be looking forward that we would be seeing that there could be the changes in the employer sponsored list in the new fiscal year for this one. Then talking about this year, they haven't changed any the fee structure of apparently every year we have seen that there has been a rise in the fees and all. Probably looks like this year they haven't changed. And in October also, when the new budget comes and all, we are not sure whether they would be increasing the fees this year or not, or they will put it on the hold, which probably looks like it should be a scenario considering the economic scenarios of this time at the moment. Yeah. And if I talk about the Perth one, until yesterday, because every state has not been allocated any quota yet. So the state has confirmed that they are processing all the applications as normal. Whatever invitations they have given, they are not being hold at the moment. They are processing those applications. If they need additional documents, they are asking us. I'm talking about just only for the WA state nomination. And once even the applications have been approved, they are unable to just nominate to the Department of Home Affairs because the quota is not released yet. So hopefully by the MIA, who has announced that the quota would remain the same, now the states would also start releasing those ones soon. So anyone who was waiting for just for lodging their visas where the approvals have come or the state applications are under processing in WA, they do not have to wait until October, which we were thinking earlier they may have to, but looks like by end of this month or early next month after 23rd, which will be more clear to every one of us. So we look forward for lodging their applications too.
All right. Thank you very much, Priti. And see, this is a good sign of experienced migration agent and excellent migration agent, because looking at the small details, even you picked up the fee part, which is a really good part, because let's say all of us, we had missed it, and as you can see, that's a good sign of a migration agent, that looking at overall situations and making sure that all the parts are covered, which is thank you very much, Priti, for bringing that fee part particularly, because yes, every year the department has increased the fees over the last, I think, 10 years pretty much. But this year, the fees has not changed, and I guess it's likely to remain the same, which might affect the economy, but obviously at the same time, the overseas worker, or let's say the migrants who are applying for the visa, would also have a financial impact, or let's say a benefit actually, to their applications, because they have to pay less applications. And sometimes in a bigger families, they actually end up paying $8,000, $10,000 because they have kids and partners in the application. Now, before we move forward, Priti, one more question about the bridging visa B. Now, we have seen that students as well who have applied for let's say they're in MRT or they're in AAT and they have a bridging visa A, their student visa application is in review or any other application is in review, and they have been invited already and they want to travel overseas, they get up to 12 months bridging visa, right? So in the past, it used to be only 3 months, except the parent and partner visa applicants who used to get 12 months visa. Do you have any other information that you want to share on this bridging visa B part? Because what I can see is that getting the 12 months bridging visa B is a good sign, because if you have a review application in process, you want to go overseas to lodge your application, you have 12 months to come back, right, Priti?
Yeah, no, that's correct. And department has been really flexible. Even if you are applying for the bridging visa B and not asking for the 12 months, they are still looking into the situation, is granting the 12 month of the bridging visa B, which gives you a flexible arrangement of coming back onto that bridging visa. Now, again, important thing is that sometimes what we have is that we have got a validity of that bridging visa, and that while I'm here, I was on an AAT. We go outside the country. My bridging visa is there for the next 12 months, and my AAT is determined. Now, in that scenario, if you can come back to the country and your bridging visa B is into an effect for this one, you are still able to come back to the country even if your application is determined, because this bridging visa B has been granted to you before this application was determined. But then, however, you have to quickly make the arrangements of having something else within Australia to apply for another visa if you can, or if you already have applied for your previous other visa for which you have gone offshore, you could try to apply for the bridging visa C or E for that scenario and can come back on the bridging visa B, which you were. So this is a bit of a complicated one, which depends upon an individual circumstances, because lots of people are into the dilemma that what happens if my bridging visa B, I'm holding, I have the validity, but my visa which is here, for which I was here, is determined and I have only got 35 days after that one. So within those 35 days, if you're able to travel and come back to the country, you can apply for the C or a E depending upon what kind of the other visa you have applied offshore.
Right. Thank you, Priti. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to add that, if you have an application for a reviewing process and you're overseas and you got, let's say, you got a bridging visa before 12 months, you went overseas to lodge your visa because you got invited to apply for a permanent visa or 491 or 190, and now you want to go offshore, lodge an application. Now you can't come back until the border opens up, but once the border opens up, you can come back. Now, if you get contacted by AAT, you can always ask for the extension because you would like to attend the hearing and you're not in Australia. So you can always request AAT to look into your case and give you some extension until you can come back and attend the hearing in Australia. So that would also be a very good idea. But as I said, as Preeti also mentioned, that if your case is very complex, you definitely would recommend that you come in and have a meeting with one of our agents so that they can guide you through exactly. As you can see, even in complex situations that I'm throwing up the questions, and our team is excellent in answering those questions as well. These are not actually pre-planned questions that I'm just throwing up as it comes into my mind. Now, we'll go to go and get some questions that we have received prior to starting this session. So we did have certain questions coming up from different people. So I'll take a few questions. Obviously, there are hundreds of questions that we can't cover because it's already more than an hour, almost an hour session already. So the first question is, what will happen with the people that are under AAT and intend to apply for PR if they cannot leave the country at this stage? Will the section 48 bar be removed? So I guess my colleague Kunal has already answered this question, that unfortunately the section 48 bar cannot be waived off unless you are applying for a visa which are exempted from the section 48 bar. But you can apply for a bridging visa B for up to 12 months, go overseas, lodge the application and wait for the borders to open. As my colleague also mentioned, that the department is going to run a pilot program to Canberra first, where they will be bringing overseas students, around 350 students from overseas, as on a trial basis to see whether that affects the health, or let's say that affects our COVID-19 countdown in Australia. So if that doesn't affect and it does not increase the number of COVID-19 transmissions, then definitely they will start looking at bringing more students from offshore. So that's also a good sign. But due to recent development in Victoria's COVID-19 transmissions, the department has actually postponed it, and we are looking forward to see when they start back again and look at the pilot program again. And if the pilot program is successful, we are anticipating that the department will start bringing more students from offshore. Now, the next question is, when is the new invitation round, which is Isabella? So Isabella, the next round is tonight, and there's nothing much we can, because your question is quite simple. When is the next round? John Stephen, the next question is from John Stephen, which is, currently on a 482 visa. I have 6 months work experience in Tasmania, and now I have been left redundant due to COVID-19. So Mr. John is asking, what should we do? So is there anybody in the panel who would like to take this question?
All right, so this question is about the Tasmania state nomination, right? So can you please just repeat the question for me again?
The question is, currently I am on 482 visa. I have 6 months working experience in Tasmania, and now I have been left redundant due to the COVID-19 situation. Right, okay. So the first question would be, so the question is not very clear, but if I was in the same situation, I would have asked that, what are my obligations? I can't travel overseas. What should I do?
Right, exactly. Okay, now there are a couple of things that can be done in this scenario. Firstly, department has been taking a flexible approach for the people who are on a 482 visas regarding the cancellation of their current visas, looking into the situation what they have. Generally, you have got 90 days to look for another employer, and probably you can change your state and can look for an employer throughout Australia. You are just not restricted to Tasmania only, because your occupation list is not as per the state nomination. occupation. So you can apply for different ones and then go for it. And sorry, I think I said the 90 days, which is for the previous visas, and for the current ones, you probably will have the 60 days to look for another employer in this scenario. Now, and the other one, yes, so that is one of the things. And we don't know what your occupation skills are, if you have got your skills assessment done or not. You should definitely look into that scenario also and see if you can be eligible for any of the skilled migration program. And there are so many other options which my colleagues have explained about, that there are different other visas which we can go if there is no state nomination or any other skilled migration which is on the basis of points, or any invitations. If there's nothing, then other is like your partner visa, your 408, or other visas that you can go with it, right?
Thank you very much, Priti. So the next
I
question.
not get to know when is the expiry of your current visa, because if you have probably just worked for 6 months, so you should be having at least another 1.5 years. So yeah.
Right. So John, probably, you should look at the state nomination program as well. See if you want to get your skills assessed in the meantime, if you do meet the skills assessment criteria. And as soon as the Tasmanian state nomination opens up, you might want to see if you can be considered for that program. Now, the next question is from Jobs. That's from Queensland. So I would ask Malai to take that question. So the question is, when Queensland will open up for a state nomination, and what will be the changes for particularly IT occupations?
So about for the jobs, like the most probably the Queensland will be open in October this year. By the next couple of months, they are going to publish the criteria and everything. Currently, there is no any published criteria from the Queensland, but we are expected they will come up with some experience requirement for the IT occupation. Like so far, there was no requirement for the master's graduate. If you are just currently working and if you have a contract letter for the 1 year of contract letter, you are eligible directly with the master's graduate. But now, recently, many applicants are applying for this certain visa for 190. So they may come up with some additional requirement, like at least 6 months of experience. So this is our expectations, this is our predictions, not the exact criteria. But yeah, you can follow our Facebook page and you will get to know about whenever they will release the criteria. We will publish the criteria on the Facebook. But yeah, they may come up with some additional experience criteria. And if you are not an Queensland recent graduate, you may have to meet the 3 years of requirement for the experience after your studies. So if you're coming from the interstate graduate, like if you have done masters or bachelors in some other state or overseas, and if you're working in Queensland in IT sector, you may have to meet 3 years of experience criteria.
Right, great. Thank you very much, Malai. Now the next question is from Arti. The question is 190 for a laboratory technician in Sydney. Onshore experience 2 years. How many points required? So I'll take this question as I'm from Sydney, so I can probably take this question myself. So laboratory technician, if you do have a skills assessment as a medical laboratory technician, and you already have 2 years of work experience, I would say you do have a very good chances of getting an invitation. But because your occupation is on a limited availability in New South Wales 190 program, I would expect you to be at least 90 points or so. So, and I guess, if you can try and get a superior English with 1 year of experience and CCL test, you can easily reach 90 points or more. So I would recommend, Arti, that yes, you try and reach at 90 points and you can anticipate an invitation for 190. Now, the next question is from Satya, which is what are the expected changes? We have already covered that up. So I think we should skip that. And now the next question is from Radhu, which is there any possibility to get PR for 85 points in future for engineering management skills and that is in Victoria or any other state? But the question is from Victoria. So Kunal, would you be able to take this question?
Sure. Okay, so look, in terms of points, the current requirement or the current points at which the invitations were issued was at 90 points in last when it was in March. After that, there have been no invitations even for that matter to anyone except the medical occupation. So if you're looking at state nomination, definitely, points is not the criteria. There are other things what you need to look at, having 5 years of experience or getting an assessment into any of the occupations which is on the nominated list, and you have a job offer with high points. So if you are a graduate from here, and if Victoria will open for 190 with the same 190 graduate program which they had before, definitely if with 85 points and a job offer letter, you stand a good chance. But if you are not a graduate from here, then having 5 years of experience and a job with high points is what you should be looking at. Well, this all is counted that Victoria do not change requirements for the state nomination. But if you're in Victoria and pretty much job is one thing you can see for yourself, I believe 491 from Victoria is one of the most promising options available. If it again comes back with the same requirements, that merely having a job offer letter in the regional part of Victoria in your nominated occupation will be able to get you 491 at least.
Right. Thank you very much, Kunal. So we'll take one more question. I guess as we are already exceeding 60 minutes timeline. So the next question is from South Australia, actually for South Australia. So person is in Victoria. So Vishali, would you like to take this question? I'll read out the questions for you. South Australia nomination for the skilled graduate from Victoria. I have a skills assessment in welding from Victoria. What are the requirements for a 491 nomination?
Okay, now if you are currently situated in Victoria, whenever the program opens in South Australia, you will have to come here. You already have a skill assessment. You will still need to work in the nominated occupation here for 6 months. And then you will be eligible for a 491, provided you have 65 points and you have the required English. Now let's see if they are going to increase any point structure. We're not sure. So far, they would require 65 at least. And then provided your Australian work experience, if you are relying on the Australian work experience points, your last 6 months should be in South Australia. That means you should be coming to South Australia, work for 6 months, and then would be eligible for 491. But it remains to be seen if there is any change now.
Thank you very much, Vishali. So, but I guess Kunal would have a different opinion on this one, because if Victoria comes back with the same criteria that you just have to have a job offer, then going to South Australia and comparing to a Victoria's nomination, the applicant can look into it depending on whether they can. What would you say?
Well, definitely, Victoria has come up with this program only in November 2019. So, in my opinion, I personally don't believe Victoria would change much around this if they would stick around with the same program. But it's just that other states' requirements are pretty, much more than compared to Victoria. So, if any other state which I compare to Victoria, all of them requires one applicant to move in the state, work for some time, study for some time, and that only what makes them eligible. So if Victoria will not look at other states, then definitely the best possible opportunity is Victoria if it continues to be a job offer. But if they look at bringing up some work experience requirements which we are anticipating, if they are coming up with something new that has to be additional requirements for applicants to apply even for 491, be it working in regional for some time or 3 to 6 months, and then they can apply. But I mean, at this stage, the only message we have is hold tight. Let's see what it comes up with, and pretty much then the options would be much clearer then.
Right. But for Diksha, I guess yes. See, you can also consider South Australia state nomination. It depends on where you get a job. So if you are able to find a job in regional Victoria, then that's the right place for you. If you can find a job in South Australia, definitely you should move to South Australia and start meeting the criteria. So because obviously we don't know the new criteria, but we hopefully wherever you have the job in your field, that's the place you want to go to. Correct? So now before we close our discussion for tonight, I would like to go back to our guest speaker and see if he has to add anything in there.
Thanks, Vaibhav. There, obviously, you covered up the very critical point in the last regarding the employment. So what I see personally from my side is the person who's going to have a job in this industry or in this upcoming changes in next 2 years, along with the COVID-19 situation, will be prioritized for the migration, because end of the day, the purpose of the migration is obviously not just to boost up the number of people in the country, but also to boost up the economical activities in the country. So obviously, if someone is working in their field, they should be prioritized. So down the track, most of the states will move towards the applicants who are already working in their field or closely related fields for the state nomination programs, rather than just giving out the nomination with the offer letters or anything like that, or just graduation kind of thing. So you can see some changes down the track in that area where state might change the entry requirements for the migration program for 190 or 491. The second thing I just wanted to quickly cover is obviously the today's announcement through MIA regarding that migration program details. They also mentioned that they're expecting around 30% fall in the program, the net overseas migration 2018 to 19, and further in 2020-21. Obviously, that's a lot of because offshore applications are put on hold by most of the state authorities. If you see, no state is inviting offshore applicants except some of them. I believe South Australia has invited a lot of people who are offshore for their 491 programs recently, but most of the states have stopped inviting offshore applicants. So that will automatically obviously reduce the number of people who are eligible, number of people applying for new visas. But because of this change, I see a positive outcome for 887 applicants. There are a lot of applicants who were waiting for 887s for a long time. Now the time has reduced. If you see the waiting period gone down from 22 to 24 months to less than 6 months in some of the applicants' case. I believe that's because they're trying to fit in that numbers into the same program here, obviously to achieve the numbers, but also to clear up the backlogs. So definitely some people are losing because they're offshore, but some people are also winners because they're onshore. So it's good for some people. And that's definitely a good sign for 887 applicants because a lot of them were waiting for 24 months, 22 months. So that's something from my side as well.
Right. Thank you very much, Tejas. So yes, I agree that that it will give some breathing time for the backlog to clear down actually, and the migration program is likely to go down. But at the same time, let's say it was 119, I think 190,000 in 2018-2019 program, and then now 2019-20 it went down to 160. 2020 and 21 would also see some fall because obviously the government's agenda is to make sure that they also ensure that the Australians do not lose their job while we also welcome migrants from all around the world. Right now, before I move to the next part of the panel discussion, is there anything any of our panelists would like to add?
No, I think from my side, it will be just about planning. So as I think all of us covered up, just understand your pathways, just understand all the options, not just skill migration. Look at the different options, including partner visas, employer sponsored, 408, or any other options you have on your plate. And also look at the employment possibilities as well, because as I said earlier, and you just mentioned, any applicants who have a job will be prioritized because that's where we are heading. Especially the economical situation where a lot of people has lost their job, the government is looking to surplus, fixing up the budget and all this kind of thing. So getting your field job would be obviously beneficial for the visa as well.
That's the futuristic approach anyways, I guess, because most of even the department would want to, move towards candidates and migrating candidates who are already working or are able to find a job in their nominated occupation, because that's the future lies. So if you are already into it, definitely you're going to be the winner as an applicant, because you will achieve your target of getting a PR earlier than other people. So other people who do not get a job are still likely to achieve their target, but then they might take some more time. Right? Yes, Preeti, you were saying something. I didn't catch it.
Yes. I just want to add that we do not want to confuse the applicants or the clients with the offshore lodgement as we are talking about the offshore client, because the ones who have already under the processing for those ones, they are thinking that they may not get their visas because of these allocations and all. So it's not that could be a longer processing time for them because of the date that they get it for the initial grant of the visas and all, but it doesn't mean that they will not get their visas based on those ones. If you're meeting the criteria, you have been invited by the state, because some states, yes, they do look into the offshore as a separate candidates, but there are other states, irrespective of wherever the candidate is, as long as you meet the criteria, even if you're offshore, they are being considered. So depending upon those things also. And let's say, for example, in Western Australia, even if you have studied, but you are offshore at this point of time, you are not considered as an offshore applicant because you're meeting the criteria for this one. And those people will be provided their state nominations into the next financial year also. Yeah.
That's right. Agreed, Preeti. Because
Not get confused with this thing. Yeah.
yes, that's correct. Agreed. Because a lot of people misunderstands the nomination program for the most of the states are at the moment on hold, except a couple of states. But if you have already lodged your visa, and if it is taking longer, technically, I would say it's a blessing in disguise indirectly, because if you do get the visa, you will have the last date to make an entry in Australia, right? And what if the borders does not open up before that date? You will be in a breach of your visa condition. Yes, obviously that you can still ask the department to waive that condition for you, but then you will have to go through the entire process, which makes it a bit complicated. And what if you don't get it, because that's a discretionary part on the department's end, whether to waive that condition once you pass that last entry to and last date to enter in Australia. So definitely, if your application is on hold, I would say you should not be worried as long as you have lodged your visa already. If your application is in process, don't worry, it will take some time, but it will go through as long as you have met the criteria, right?
Yeah,
Now,
correct. I'll just add on to that, Vaibhav, as well, that we normally get a lot of clients who ask if any changes were going to impact on their visa applications, which are already in pipeline. We already launched the 190, 189, or 190, or 491. And they still get worried if any announcement by department in next 3-6 months or any stop in the migration will impact their application. The answer is absolutely no, obviously, because you already lodged your application. So whatever changes will be obviously in terms of changing in the requirements for the nomination will be for the future applicants. So if you already lodge your application for any of these visas and it's under process with department, then obviously the new changes will not impact your application. You don't need to worry about that you might not get your visa. You already applied for your visa meeting the older requirement. So department will consider and will finalize your application as soon as they can.
Right. Thank you very much, Tejas, for that as well. Now, before we close today's panel discussion, we would like to bring to our viewers notice that Aussizz Group has branches all over Australia, in Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. So if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to our experienced migration agents who are very well, prepared with the upcoming changes as well. We keep ourselves updated. So if you do have any questions, feel free to contact the nearest branch to you. We also have our certain other services, which is getmypolicy.com.au. You can also practice PTE on ptetutors.com.au. And also we do have a CCL tutorials where you can practice a CCL test, which is interpretation exam. So if you do need any support, our team is always there to help you. And if you do have any questions, we will try to answer your questions. And if you do have any questions and you do not want to visit because you have a very small question and you do not want to pay for the entire consultation charge, we do understand. You can always put in your questions in the comment box below, and our team will ensure that the questions gets answered within the next 2 to 4 hours roughly. So thank you very much for watching and joining us today. And we wish you good luck if you're lodging an application on your own. And if you have already lodged your visa as well, we wish you very good luck and hope you get your visa very soon. Thank you very much for joining today.
Thanks, Vaibhav.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vaibhav.